Your tongue is wet right now, you know this. You have known it every second of your life. But until I said it, you could feel it. The sensation was missing from your mind entirely, not hidden, not suppressed. Gone. As if the wetness didn't exist until the words arrived. Now try to stop feeling it. You can the wetness is loud, obvious, almost uncomfortable. Nothing in your mouth has changed. The only thing that changed is what you were told to notice. That gap between the world and what your brain lets through is not small. It is not a filter that dims things slightly. It is a wall. And what you experience as daily life sits entirely on one side of it. The light hitting your eyes right now contains more information than you will process in the next hour. Your ears are receiving sounds you will never consciously register. Your skin is sending signals about temperature, pressure, and texture that will never become a thought. All of it real, all of it physically entering your body, none of it reaching you. What does reach you is not raw data, it is a finished product. In 1998, a cognitive neuroscientist named Daniel Simons at the University of Illinois asked people to watch a short video. Two teams passing a basketball. One team in white, one in black. Count the passes made by the white team. Simple task. About 30 seconds long, halfway through the video, a person in a full gorilla suit walked into the center of the frame. Stopped. Beat its chest, walked off. The gorilla was on screen for 9 full seconds. 9 seconds is long enough to tie a shoe, long enough to pour a glass of water and drink half of it. Half the people who watched the video did not see the gorilla, not forgot about it. Not it was in the corner of their eye. They looked directly at the screen for the entire duration, and a gorilla standing in the middle of a group of people did not exist for them. When Simons told them what they missed, most refused to believe it. Some accused him of switching videos. He had to replay the tape to prove it. Same video, same gorilla, same 9 seconds. But for those people, the gorilla had not happened. This is not a failure of attention. This is attention working correctly. Your brain does not show you what is there. It shows you what it has decided matters. Everything else gets cut silently, without a flicker or a gap or any sign that something was removed. You do not experience the removal. That is the part that matters. You feel complete. You feel like you saw everything. The world as you know it has no holes. But that feeling of completeness is itself constructed. In 2005, a Swedish psychologist named Peter Johansson at Lund University set up a table at a shopping mall. He showed people 2 photographs of faces and asked them to pick which one they found more attractive. Then he slid the chosen photo across the table and asked them to explain their choice. Standard psychology experiment, except it was in Johansson had glued the photos to playing cards, using a simple sleight of hand technique borrowed from close-up magicians. He switched the photo as he slid it forward. The person now held the face they had rejected, the face they had specifically not chosen. More than 70% of people did not notice the switch. They looked at a stranger's face, a face they had rejected seconds earlier, and began explaining why they chose it. They invented reasons, detailed reasons. I like her earrings. She has a nice smile. The person in the photo was not wearing earrings. They were not lying. They were not confused. Their brains produced explanations for a decision they never made, and those explanations felt as real and certain as any thought they had ever had. Johansson called it choice blindness, but the name undersells what happened. These people did not fail to notice a trick. They generated a false past, they built a memory of a preference they never held, and they believed it completely. Your brain does this constantly, not just with faces at a mall table. Every morning you wake up and within seconds your brain has assembled a person. It tells you who you are, what you care about, what happened yesterday, what you need to do today. That assembly feels like remembering. It is not. It is construction, but here is where it gets harder to sit with. In 2007, a neuroscientist named Adrienne Wilton at University College London placed subjects in a brain scanner and showed them a simple screen. 2 buttons. Press whichever one you want. Whenever you want. That is it. No right answer. No time pressure. Just decide and press. She wasn't watching the button press. She was watching what happened before it. And what she found was that the brain showed a clear pattern of activity up to 7 seconds before the person reported deciding. 7 seconds. The neural signature of the choice appeared in the prefrontal and parietal cortex while the subject still felt undecided. 7 seconds is long enough to walk across a room, long enough to read this paragraph. Your brain had already committed to a direction, and the feeling of choosing hadn't even started yet. This does not mean you are a puppet. It means the thing you call deciding is not the moment the decision is made. It is the moment you are informed of a decision your brain already completed. The announcement feels like the event. It is not the event. And this machinery does not limit itself to button presses and scanners. In 1980, a psychologist named Benjamin Libet at the University of California, San Francisco, ran a simpler version of the same finding using EEG and a precise clock. He asked people to flick their wrist whenever they felt like it and note the exact moment they felt the urge. The electrical readiness potential in the brain preceded the conscious urge by about 550 milliseconds. Half a second, consistent, repeatable. Not subtle. For 40 years, this finding has been replicated, attacked, defended, extended, and re-examined. The number shifts depending on the task. The interpretation is debated, but the core observation stands. The conscious sense of willing something to happen arrives after the neural preparation for that action has already begun. You feel like you start things you do not. You are told that things have started. Now hold that alongside the gorilla and the switched photographs. Your brain removes things from your experience without telling you. It invents reasons for decisions you didn't make. And the feeling of deciding comes after the decision is already underway. None of this requires damage. None of it requires drugs or unusual conditions. This is the standard machinery, but the question underneath all of it is harder than any single experiment. If your brain constructs your experience, filters your perception, fabricates explanations, and commits to choices before you know about them, what exactly is the you that all of this is being hidden from? This is not a new question, but the science that surrounds it now is new, and the answer from neuroscience is not comforting. In 2016, Anil Seth, a neuroscientist at the University of Sussex, published a framework he called the controlled hallucination model. His argument was not metaphorical. He meant it literally. The brain does not passively receive reality. It actively generates a prediction about what reality should be. Then it checks that prediction against the thin stream of sensory data coming in. When the prediction is close enough, you experience the prediction, not the data. You are not seeing the world. You are seeing your brain's best guess about the world. And under normal conditions, the guess is good enough that you never notice it is a guess. Seth's framework explains something specific. It explains why the world feels stable even though your eyes move 3 to 4 times per second. Each movement should produce a blur, a jump, a discontinuity. You never experience that. Your brain fills in the gap with prediction. It papers over the interruption with what it expects to see next. It explains why amputees feel phantom limbs. The brain's model of the body still includes the missing arm. It generates sensation for tissue that doesn't exist. The sensation is real, the arm is not. It explains why you can read a sentence with half the letters missing and not even notice. Your prediction engine completes the pattern before your eyes finish scanning. But none of this proves you are living in a hallucination. That word carries weight it hasn't earned yet. The strongest challenge to Seth's model comes from within his own field. A philosopher of mind named Andy Clark, now at the University of Sussex as well, agrees with almost everything in the predictive processing framework. He agrees the brain generates predictions. He agrees perception is constructive. But he argues the word hallucination is misleading because it implies the brain could do something else. It can there is no alternative channel. There is no way to experience raw reality unfiltered. If every perception is a prediction, then the word hallucination loses its opposite. You can hallucinate if there is nothing else to compare it to. This is a serious objection. It deserves to sit for a moment. If all experience is constructed, then calling it a hallucination is like calling all swimming floating. Technically accurate, but it erases a useful distinction. Hallucination used to mean something had gone wrong. In Seth's framework, nothing has gone wrong. The system is working perfectly. You just happen to never touch the thing you are modeling. But here is where Clark's objection, strong as it is, misses something. The system works perfectly when conditions are normal. When conditions change, the construction becomes visible, and the conditions do not need to change much. In 2009, a team led by Olaf Blanke at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology took healthy volunteers, people with no history of psychiatric illness, and placed them in a robotic apparatus. The machine delivered a poke to their backs, but it delivered the poke with a slight delay, about 500 milliseconds, just half a second off. Within minutes, participants reported feeling a ghostly presence behind them. Some felt a hand on their shoulder. Some described a distinct other person standing just out of sight. One subject became so distressed, the experiment was stopped. Half a second of misalignment between action and sensation. That is all it took to crack the brain's model of where you end and the world begins. The boundary between self and not self. The most basic feeling you have is maintained by timing. Timing measured in fractions of a second. Nobody in that room was sick. Nobody was on medication. The presence they felt was generated by the same prediction machinery that generates your normal sense of being a single person in a single body. It just needed a nudge. Your sense of being you is a prediction. One that happens to match the data most of the time. When it stops matching, the model does collapse gracefully. It produces ghosts. So the question is not really whether you live in a hallucination. That framing gives you somewhere solid to stand while you consider it. The real question has no floor. You have never experienced anything except your brain's model of reality. Every color you have ever seen is a frequency translated into a guess. Every face you have ever loved is a pattern your prediction engine assembled and labeled. Every memory you hold was reconstructed at the moment of recall, not retrieved from storage. The feeling that you are a person looking out at a world is the most successful prediction your brain has ever made. It is so successful you cannot feel it working, you cannot step outside it, you cannot find the seam. There is no version of your life that exists outside this machinery. There never has been. The wetness on your tongue is still there. You are still feeling it because I pointed it out. In a few minutes you will stop, not because the wetness disappears, because your brain will decide it is no longer worth reporting, and you will never notice the moment it goes quiet.